Hey guys, good evening. I hope all of you are having a very wonderful day. So it is me Siva Prasad bringing you yet another video lesson on NCERT Science Textbook Summary. So if you watched my previous lessons, we have already done videos on Class 6 and Class 7 NCERT Science Textbook. So along the same lines, today I'm going to start with a course on Class 8 NCERT Science Textbook. Pretty interesting. So the course is being presented by me, Siva Prasad. I teach live on Unacademy and Unacademy Plus. So let's start with the first concept for today from Science NCERT textbook. So we are going to discuss about microorganisms, a very happening topic because of coronavirus and the diseases that are being spread nowadays, the pandemic and all going on. So let's try to understand microorganisms in today's lesson. I will also be telling you about vaccines. I will be going a little bit beyond what is given in your NCERTs, and I'll be telling how a vaccine actually works, right? So what are microorganisms? The microorganisms or microbes, they are so small in size that they cannot be seen with an unaided eye. That means you will not be able to see these microorganisms. From the name itself, it is pretty obvious they are micro. Micro means very, very small. So you will not be able to see them with unaided eye. That means through naked eye, you will not be able to see them. Maybe you can observe them under a microscope, right? Microorganisms are classified into four groups, four major groups. We have bacteria, we have fungi, we have protozoa, and then we have some algae. So these are all together categorized as microorganisms, right? They are micro, they are too small, they are not visible to naked eye. We have bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and algae. Right here you can see various kinds of bacteria, right? You can see rod-shaped bacteria, spiral bacteria, etc. Here in algae, for example, you might have heard about Spirogyra, that's a type of algae. You might have heard about Paramecium, you might have heard about amoeba, these are classified as protozoa. Then you have fungi over here, right? For example, Penicillium, etc. are there. These are all called as fungi, right? So these are different types of microorganisms, and I've given you some examples of each. All right. Let's now talk about viruses, right? Something very, very interesting and very, very happening. Viruses are also microscopic. That means viruses are also not visible to us through naked eye. They, however, reproduce only inside the cells of host organism, which may be a bacteria, a plant, or an animal. This kind of question was asked in 2016 prelims examination by UPSC. Right? So as you can see, a lot of questions are being framed right out of NCERT science textbook. This year also I told you, over the period of time when we discuss cells and tissues, you will see that questions have been directly picked up. In 2020, the difference between a plant cell and animal cell, it appeared directly from NCERT. So a question directly came in 2016 NCERT. The question was about what kind of organisms can viruses infect. Three options were given. One was bacteria, second was plant, and animal. You had options one only, one and two only, one, two only. Obviously, it can impact all three. Bacterium can be infected by viruses, plants can be infected by viruses, animals, of course, can be infected by viruses. Alright? Remember, what is special about virus is that virus is neither living nor dead. Remember, we talked about how do we classify organism, how do we say that it is alive, right? So on the day, one important factor was I told you it should be capable of reproducing. What is special about virus is that when the virus is not inside a host organism, when it is not taken up by the host, the virus is incapable of reproducing. But as soon as it is taken up by the host organism, the virus starts to replicate. So that is the reason we don't know where exactly there's a fine line difference whether to classify viruses as alive or dead. Alright? So viruses, they reproduce only inside the cells of the host organism. If they don't enter into the host organism, viruses are not capable of reproducing. So that means they are literally dead when they are outside the host organism. But they've entered into the host organism, they become alive, they start to spread, they start to reproduce. Alright? Common ailments like cold that you keep on having, influenza, that is flus, most of the coughs, these are all caused by viruses. Obviously, the coronavirus, right? The fever, etc., that whatever the other symptoms are, you're getting to see breathlessness and all, these are again being caused by yet another virus. Serious diseases like polio, chickenpox, these are also caused by viruses, right? Alright, let's now talk about where exactly these microorganisms live. Microorganisms, remember, they might be single celled. That means they are made up of a single cell. Okay. Cell is the fundamental unit of life. There is a dedicated lesson I will be doing on cells and tissues. So I'll be clarifying more about what exactly is a cell, what are the functions of a cell, what are the various components of a cell, right? Microorganisms, they can be single cell. For example, if you talk about we human beings, we are made up of billions and billions of cells, right? On the other hand, you can have microorganisms that are single cell. That means the entire organism is made up of just one cell. You would have like bacteria, some algae, protozoa. On the other hand, they can be multicellular. That means we human beings are also multicellular. That means we are made up of numerous number of cells. Alright? These microorganisms, they can survive under all types of environment. You can go to the tallest of the mountains, hottest of the deserts, coldest of the places. You will still be able to see some microorganisms or the other. See, their habitat ranges from ice cold climate, even in Siberian kind of weather also, even in Antarctic also maybe you can find them, to hot spring, to deserts, to marshy lands. In all these places, you will see different kinds of microorganisms thriving over there. Alright? There's hardly a place in biosphere where you don't get to see a microorganism. There are microorganisms that are living within us. Some of them are harmful to us. Some of them are useful for us. Right? They are also found inside the bodies of the animals, including in humans. There are so many microorganisms right now that are present within you. Some microorganisms, they grow on the other organisms, while others can exist freely. Right? It depends on some microorganisms, they require a host. They require some other organisms to grow upon. On the other hand, some microorganisms are there that can exist freely on their own. If you see microorganisms like amoeba, they tend to live alone. On the other hand, there are some fungi and there are some bacteria that tend to live in colonies. They would like to live in groups. They would like to live with the others. Alright. So, as I told you, there are so many microorganisms that are living right within us, inside animals, inside plants, etc. Some of them are useful, some of them are harmful. For example, coronavirus is responsible for causing diseases. There are some bacteria that can cause you diseases. For example, you might have heard about this dangerous killer, that is tuberculosis. It is also caused by a bacteria, right? Let's now first talk about friendly microorganisms. How these microorganisms are being used. Microorganisms have been used for the production of alcohol since ages, right? There is this process that we call as fermentation. Using this process of fermentation, microorganisms can be used for the production of alcohol. Alright, so this has been, for ages we have been using this production, right? This is a friendly aspect of microorganisms. They are used for the production of alcohol, right? They are also used in cleaning up the environment. For example, you will see organic wastes, which include vegetable peels, remains of animals, feces, etc. These are broken down into harmless and usable substances by the bacteria, right? So for example, we are human beings, we are animals. So there are so many nutrients that are present within our body. As soon as we die, what happens is, all these nutrients are trapped within. These microorganisms, they start to fragment. They start to fragment this dead and decaying body. They release enzymes. They will, they will disintegrate. They will break this into fragments and they will convert it, and they will release all the nutrients that are present inside the body, and they will release it into the atmosphere. Sorry, into the soil. From the soil, it can be again taken up by the plants, right? This is the useful work that they are doing. See, they are breaking down into harmless and usable substances. Current affairs, you might have heard about something called as oil zappers, right? These are kind of bacteria that are being used for cleaning oil spills in the seas, right? There are these oil spills. That's a terrible, it's a terrible incident, because we are using a lot of sea tonnage. We are using the sea transportation facility for transporting so much amount of oil. Sometimes what happens is, because of accidents or by mistake, some oil gets spilled, right? We have no way of cleaning this oil, and this really harms the aquatic ecosystem, right? For that, we can use these oil zappers, right? This was in the news. Curd contains several microorganisms, right? Of these, the bacterium that is called as lactobacillus, it promotes the formation of curd. Obviously, curd is something that you can make at your house also, right? You add a little bit of curd and then you put milk with it. So what happens is, there's this bacterium that is called as lactobacillus. All right, you add a little bit curd to milk. So what happens? In the milk, this bacteria, it starts to replicate, right? When it starts to replicate, milk gets converted into curd, right? So this is another useful aspect of microorganisms, another way to prove that microorganisms are friendly. Then there are some bacteria that are involved in the process of making cheese, making pickles, and many other food items like this. Then we have yeast, as I told you, through the process of fermentation. It is used in the commercial production of alcohol and wine, right? As I told you, the process of conversion of sugar into alcohol, this process is called as fermentation. All right, this process is carried out by the presence of yeast, right? It is converting sugars into alcohol. This process is called as fermentation. This process is used for the production of alcohol and wine. Alright. And similarly, you might have heard about a concept called as antibiotics. This is in the news. Why? Because we are developing something called as antibiotic resistance. Okay. Antimicrobial resistance. Right? This is what it is being called. So that means what it basically means is you are using antibiotics. It is not having any kind of effect on you. Right? First, let's try to understand what exactly are these antibiotics. Then I will discuss about this drug resistance and antibiotic resistance. And a question was also asked along the same lines in 2019 prelims examination. Alright, let's try to understand what are antibiotics. The source of these medicines, remember antibiotics are basically medicines. Okay, these medicines, they kill or stop the growth of disease causing microorganisms. Alright, so that means there are some disease causing microorganisms. We usually use the word pathogens. Right? There are these pathogens, these are capable of causing diseases in you. So they are present inside your body, they have entered into your body. So what you can do is you can take these antibiotics. These antibiotics will kill these pathogens, or they will stop the growth of these disease causing pathogens. Okay? Such medicines that are capable of doing this are called as antibiotics. How do you think are antibiotics being made? Antibiotics are being made from microorganisms, right? Some microorganisms are causing diseases in you, while other microorganisms are used for making antibiotics, for making medicines for these disease-causing microorganisms. Okay, as I told you, nowadays, current affairs, what is in the news is the concept of drug resistance. What exactly does drug resistance mean? Imagine you are suffering from a disease. You are taking a tablet, you are taking an antibiotic. This antibiotic is supposed to give you certain kind of relief. But unfortunately, you taking this antibiotic is not making any difference. You are not getting any kind of relief even after consuming antibiotics, right? This is called as antimicrobial resistance. This is called as drug resistance. Why? Because the disease-causing microorganism, it has evolved. It is no longer, the antibiotics are no longer effective against this. Okay, this kind of evolution in the microorganisms, when they become resistant to drugs, it is called as superbugs. Right? So that means if you have a disease-causing microorganism, if you have a pathogen, right, it is resistant to drugs. You are consuming drugs and it is not impacting this microorganism, and we call it as superbugs. Okay, they have evolved over the period of time, right? All right. In the future, subject to availability of time, we will discuss why this antimicrobial resistance is becoming a big thing. Why are these superbugs being created? Why is there this drug resistance? All right. And remember, friendly microorganisms are also used for production of vaccinations. Okay, very, very important concept. I'll be telling you right now how vaccines work. Similarly, some microorganisms are also responsible for soil fertility. Right? For example, we have these blue-green algae. Blue-green algae is responsible for nitrogen fixation. If you have gone through my previous year, previous courses on science and technology, you know that there are some nutrients that are required by the plants. Some of them are called as macronutrients. That means they are required in large quantities. Some of them are called as micronutrients, which means they are required in smaller quantities, right? So I told you that nitrogen is a nutrient that is required, that's a macronutrient. It is required by plants in larger quantities. Okay, and if you know properly, you know that somewhere around 78% of your atmosphere, of your air atmosphere, it is made up of nitrogen, right? But unfortunately, even though the plants require nitrogen, plants do not have the capability to directly consume nitrogen from the atmosphere, right? The plants, just like they directly take carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, they are not capable of taking nitrogen directly from the atmosphere. This nitrogen has to be converted into something called as nitrates, right? These nitrates can be taken by the plants through their roots, alright? So you need some organisms to convert this nitrogen into nitrates so that it can be taken by the plants, right? These organisms like blue-green algae, they do something called as nitrogen fixation. They capture nitrogen from the atmosphere, they convert it to nitrates, and they make nitrates available to the plant, right? So therefore, we say that these blue-green algae and similar organisms, they are adding to soil fertility. They make the soil more fertile by making nitrates available to the plants, alright? Okay, these are some of the examples of friendly microorganisms. As I just now told you, I will be talking about the concept of vaccination. As I told you that vaccines, how are they made from? The vaccines are actually made from these microorganisms only. Okay, alright. When a disease causing microorganism, which we call as pathogen, remember pathogen means a disease causing microorganism, it enters our body. The body, it produces something called as antibodies to fight the invader. Alright, this antibody, remember, this is not the first stage, this is not the first response of the body. Okay, alright, although it is given over here, I will make a comprehensive course on immune system because it's very crucial given the concern on public health around us right now. So we'll be talking about innate immune system and about adaptive immune system. So antibodies are usually not produced right away. It takes around 10 to 14 days for your body to actually start producing these antibodies. They are also called as immunoglobulins. Alright, so anyway, when a disease causing microorganism enters into our body's defense mechanism starts to fight against this invader, starts to fight against this pathogen. Alright, something special is that our body, it remembers how to fight the microbe if it enters again. Alright, you might have wondered, why is it that in your life, when you get chickenpox once, it is very, very, very rare that you will get chickenpox a second time. Alright, let's try to understand this. Okay, the first time you got chickenpox, your body remembers the virus. Alright, you have fought with chickenpox once, so you know how the chickenpox virus looks like. Your body knows what kind of antibodies to produce. Your body knows how to respond if the same virus attacks again. Alright, so first time you suffered out of chickenpox. The next time your body encounters the same virus, imagine this pathogen that is causing this disease of chickenpox is entered into your body again. Your body remembers. This is called as immunological memory. Your body remembers how to fight off this invader, how to fight off this virus because of previous experience. So therefore, the second time this virus enters into your body quickly responds and eliminates the threat. Alright, so this is what. See, this is the concept of immunological memory. Okay, vaccines also work along the same lines. Okay, for example, you might have taken polio vaccine, polio virus, etc. Right, polio vaccine, polio drops, etc. What we do is in this polio vaccination, we take a dead or a weakened, okay, I'm so sorry, weakened polio virus, right? We take polio virus, we take either a dead polio virus or we take a weakened polio virus, alright? We inject it inside our body. So this is dead or weakened polio virus. Obviously, this is not capable of causing polio disease in you, right? So your body recognizes this virus, it responds to it also. Alright, it recognizes, it eliminates this dead or weakened polio virus. Alright, now what happens is because of this exposure, your body remembers. The immune system of your body knows how to deal with polio virus. It has learned how to identify polio virus and what kind of response should I give if the polio virus attacks again. Alright, so this exposure, this vaccination led you to an exposure, led your immune system to develop a memory. So next time when you are exposed to the real polio virus, when the real polio virus attacks you, your body knows how to recognize polio virus, your body knows how to respond to polio virus. Alright, so this is how vaccines actually work. Right, see, if dead or weakened microbes are introduced in the healthy body, the body fights and kills them. It starts to produce suitable antibodies, right? The antibodies, they remain in the body and we are protected from disease-causing microorganisms. Okay, this is how the vaccine actually works. Because of memory, you know what kind of antibodies to produce. And remember, these antibodies that are once produced, they are always circulating in your body. Right? They are circulating in your body. As soon as the polio virus is encountered again by your body, more of these antibodies are produced. Your body, your immune system already knows how to produce these antibodies. So that's why more of these antibodies are produced and the polio virus is easily eliminated and you don't suffer from another attack. Alright? This is how vaccines actually work, right? So anyway, these are all friendly microorganisms that are useful for us. What about disease-causing microorganisms? What about harmful microorganisms? What are the various kind of diseases that they are capable of causing? So let us try to understand it. Alright? Let's start with harmful microorganisms. Some of the microorganisms, they can cause diseases in human beings, plants and animals. Remember I told you, not just this, they are also capable of infecting other microorganisms like bacteria. So if it is given a statement that viruses, can they infect other bacteria or other microorganisms? Yes, they do. Okay. So there are some microorganisms that are capable of causing diseases in human beings, in plants and animals, etc. Such disease-causing microorganisms, remember as I told you, we call them as pathogens. See, in the UPSC prelims examination or mains examination, they will not describe what exactly is a pathogen to you. They will directly give this word, right? So you cannot expect them for definition. So you need to be okay with the technical jargon that I am using. Alright. Some microorganisms, you know that they can spoil food, they can spoil clothing, some of them can even spoil leather, if you have seen. Alright. So let's now specifically talk about disease causing microorganisms, right? Pathogens, as you know, how do they enter into our body? They enter through the air that we breathe. Why do you think we are wearing masks to protect ourselves from coronavirus? Because air is one medium of transmission of the coronavirus. Or microorganisms can enter through the water that we drink or through the food that we eat. If we were to believe WHO says that through food the coronavirus is not spreading, it is usually through air. Right? So it's okay to order and eat. That's what they have said. But nevertheless, it is safe. Right? We have to definitely wear masks because it is clearly established that 6 feet distance is required, and also wearing mask is pretty effective because it's spreading through air majorly. Anyway, so pathogens enter our body through air we breathe, through the water that we drink, and through the food that we eat. They can also get transmitted by direct contact with an infected person, or it can be carried through an animal. Right? For example, if you look at Nipah virus, right? Such viruses or such microorganisms, such disease-causing organisms, when it can be spread from an animal to a human, okay? If transmission can occur from an animal to a human, such diseases are called as zoonotic diseases. All right. So diseases are called as zoonotic diseases. Okay. Why? Because these are certain kind of diseases. For example, rabies. These are kind of diseases that can spread from an animal to a human being. Such diseases are called as zoonotic diseases. All right. So that is the reason WHO is promoting a concept called as One Health approach. Okay. So as you can see, if human beings want to remain healthy, because of the numerous spread of zoonotic diseases, it is very important that our environment and also the animals remain very healthy. So that means our health depends on the health of the animals and the health of the environment. So that is the reason a comprehensive health approach is required, where we have to think about the health of the people, that is the human beings, health of the animals around you, and health of the environment. Right? All these three things are correlated. So that's why One Health, the concept of One Health promotes healthy living conditions for animals, humans, and the environment together. Alright? Why? Because of spread of zoonotic diseases. Alright? So as you can see, this is one way. The disease can get transmitted by a bite of an animal, by just tending to wounds of an animal. Right? It can also spread through direct contact with an infected person. Direct contact maybe through handshake, etc. Right? For coronavirus again. Or this could also be a sexual contact. That's how AIDS is being spread. Right? Zika virus was also being spread like this. Right? Alright. Microbial diseases that can spread from an infected person to a healthy person through air, water, food, or physical contact are called as communicable diseases. Okay, there are two types of diseases. One kind of disease are called as communicable diseases. For example, this coronavirus disease, it's a communicable disease, right? This can spread from an infected person to a healthy person through air, physical contact, etc. Such diseases are called as communicable diseases. Example, if you remember, cholera, common cold. Have you wondered this? Somebody with cold, they sit near you, you come in interaction with them, suddenly you have also caught a cold. Okay, chicken pox. This you can also, when I had chicken pox, I remember my mom also ended up having chicken pox, right? So these are all communicable diseases. Tuberculosis, right? These are all examples of communicable diseases. This can transmit from an infected person to a healthy person, right? There are some insects and animals also which act as carriers of disease causing microorganisms, right? Sometimes, for example, you might have heard about dengue. How do you think dengue is being spread? It is being spread by virus. Zika virus, it was carried by these Aedes aegypti mosquitoes, right? Chikungunya, malaria, these are all spread by insects, right? So insects are acting as carriers. Alright, so for example, malaria is spread by these female Anopheles mosquito. Zika was spread by these Aedes aegypti mosquito, right? So that's what these are insects. They are acting as carriers. We use another word. We call them as vectors. Okay, these carriers, they themselves are not infected by this virus or microorganism. We are infected by this. All right. So I'll give you a table. It is very, very crucial for you to remember this table. Okay. So this will help you a lot with respect to identifying which disease is caused by what. Alright, you don't have to do PhDs of each of the diseases until unless it is in the news. Alright, for some reasons because of some initiative of the government, etc. So some of the diseases could be in the news. In case, for example, last year hepatitis was in the news, so you have to do some extra research on these topics, and you have to just find out, what kind of hepatitis are there, A, B, C, D, E, right? Whether vaccine is available or not. What are the symptoms? How is hepatitis spread? For example, hepatitis A spreads through fecal oral route, etc. So those things you sort of have to look into if it is in the news. Otherwise, it is not a good idea for making a list of all the diseases we have, because we have thousands and thousands of diseases. It is not possible for us to remember all of them, which microorganism causes it, and what are the symptoms, how can they be treated. It is not it's not advisable for you to remember all of them unless they are in the news. You can try. For example, Nipah virus was in the news, Ebola was in the news. Then it makes sense for you to go for detailed analysis of these of these kind of concepts, right? Because disease related questions are being significantly asked. All right, let's talk about various human diseases and what are the causative microorganisms, whether it is caused by a bacteria, whether it is caused by a virus, or whatever, right? And also let us talk about the mode of transmission. All right, we have tuberculosis. This is caused by a bacteria. Okay. How does it spread? It spreads through air. All right, if you come, remember these are all communicable disease I'm talking about. So that means if you come in contact with an infected person, right, through air, it is possible to spread. Then measles, this is caused by a virus. This is spread through air. Mode of transmission is air. Then we have chickenpox. Remember, chickenpox is also caused by a virus. This is through air, or it can also spread through contact if you come in physical contact with the patient. Then you have polio. Polio virus, remember, it can spread through air, it can spread through water. Right? Water is also very important. That's how polio can spread. Then we have cholera. Cholera is caused by bacteria. Right? It can be spread through water or by food also. Typhoid, it can be caused by bacteria, and mode of transmission happens to be water. Then we have hepatitis B. Remember, all the hepatitis, they are caused by virus. Hepatitis B is spread through water. Alright, then finally we have malaria. Malaria is the causative agent. Remember, it is a protozoa, right? I told you different kind of microorganisms are there. Fungi, protozoa, bacteria and all. So this is a kind of microorganism. Okay? It is caused by a protozoa. Okay, Plasmodium. Then we have the mode of transmission. Remember, it is by mosquito bite. As I told you, this mosquito will be called as a vector. This vector, these are carriers. They themselves are not infected by this virus. Okay? The mosquito is not harmed by the malaria virus. When they sit and they feed on us, that's when they transmit the virus. And this virus, remember, we are the host for the virus, right? That means virus will start spreading, start reproducing when it enters into our body. All right. So these are some of the examples of the microorganisms that are capable of causing diseases in us. Okay. As I promised you, I told you that I'll be discussing about something called as antimicrobial resistance, antibiotic resistance, right? As I just explained to you, that means you are consuming antibiotics, right? But it is not effective. What is the reason it is happening? Remember, first is because there is overexposure of antibiotics, right? For example, imagine everybody you're getting slapped every single day. Over the period of time, you're not able to feel the slap anymore. That's the same thing that has happened to the microorganisms also. We have exposed them to so much amount of these antibiotics that they have become resistant over the period of time. They have developed a mechanism. Remember, just like us, these microorganisms are also evolving. So earlier, if a medicine was effective against them, they know how to fight against the medicine, right? So that is the reason they have become resistant to microorganisms. Resistant to antibiotics, right? They have become resistant to antibiotics. That means you are consuming antibiotics and nothing is really happening to these microorganisms. What are the reasons this is happening? Remember, first reason is misuse of antibiotics. Antibiotics are effective when you are suffering from a bacterial infection, right? You are consuming antibiotics without even consulting a physician, without even consulting a doctor. The doctor also nowadays tend to prescribe an antibiotic because this is a way to get you cured easily, right? Imagine, which doctor would you want to, would you like to visit a doctor if the doctor says just wait for 5 days, it will go away on its own? No, we all want, fast recoveries, faster cure. So that's the reason even doctors are under pressure to keep on prescribing antibiotics for you, right? First is misuse of antibiotics, right? Second reason is, remember, not following instructions. The doctor gives you a dose for 5 days, right? You are supposed to take it for 5 days. Unfortunately, in between, you feel better, you feel cured, so you stop taking those medicines. When you don't complete the course, that is also very dangerous. All right. Next is usage of antibiotics. in livestock. Remember, the people who have livestock like goats and sheep, or let's say goats and these consumables like chicken, etc., like poultry farms, etc. So what they do is they tend to feed these livestock with antibiotics, right? So that they don't get any kind of disease. Till they are slaughtered, they don't get any kind of disease. So what happens is we end up consuming this chicken and mutton. Because of this, we end up eating these antibiotics. It is indirectly entering our system through these livestock, because people tend to feed this to livestock to keep them healthy so that they don't get any disease, right? So that's what these usage of antibiotics in the livestock is ultimately entering into us human beings. All right. So these are all resulting in resistance to antibiotics. This has all made the microorganisms evolve a kind of a resistance mechanism, a mechanism to resist the antibiotics. So that is the reason you see for many diseases like tuberculosis, etc., where antibiotics were effective. Now we are seeing more and more antibiotics are not effective. Even the last line of defense, when no other antibiotics work, we give you a kind of antibiotic. Even that nowadays is not working for some patients, right? So that is what, right? This is the concept, and a question related to this was asked in 2019 prelims examination. Given the amount of information I've given you, you will be able to write an answer for the same. All right. So that is all for now. I will be stopping my class over here. As I told you, I'm Siva Prasad. You can just search for me by this name on Unacademy platform. I usually teach live on Unacademy Plus. Usually I teach public administration and a lot of science and technology, especially current affairs and all. I do a lot of analysis around that. So if you're interested, you can check me out on Unacademy platform, and I would encourage you to subscribe to Unacademy Plus if you're interested. And if you're subscribing, you can use this code AKMSIVA. So this will give you a flat 10% off on your Unacademy Plus subscription. So this is all for the day. Have a good day. See you guys in the next session.